Good morning, morning. Happy Friday, Workplace Warriors, and welcome to another Friday Morning Live. I hope you've had a great week so far, and I know that for those of us who live in the metro Atlanta area, we had some rain yesterday. We really needed the rain, but for those of you who are not aware, we have a whole lot of people from a whole lot of different places here in Atlanta, and rain and the commutes, whether it's morning or evening, do not mix well. And we had a lot of accidents on the road, especially on yesterday morning. So traffic was backed up all across the city, and I'm sure a lot of people were late to their destinations because of the backups that the various accidents caused. But today is a new day. We're drying out. The rain has ended. And hopefully, if you live here in the metro Atlanta area and you have to get on the road to someplace today, hopefully your trip will be enjoyable and peaceful and uneventful. So, we're going to jump right into this Friday morning live. And I am so excited about today's subject because it is something that is near and dear to my heart and something that I have struggled with my entire professional life. And that is making small talk and, networking and making small talk. And I've heard from a lot of others that that's a struggle for you as well. And so I ran across this awesome article from my favorite article source, which is MSN, their money section. And it's about making small talk. And the title of the article is I've studied thousands of people who are good at making small talk. Here's what they do differently. And so the author is Charles Duhigg. He's a contributor, MSN contributor, and I just love this article and hope that you will like the subject matter, and hopefully you'll get a lot of value from today's discussion as well. So, as I said, I have struggled with networking all my life, never liked it. And what I found is that although I am good at making small talk, I never correlated networking and small talk necessarily with each other, or somehow I consider the small talk that I need to be able to make during networking events different from just my everyday small talk when I meet someone who might be um, a potential new, friend at a social place or whatever. Then I just consider the small talk that I would make with that person at a backyard barbecue different than the small talk that I would have with someone in a business networking setting. And even though it is going to be different to a certain extent. Bottom line is I'm still dealing with people, and I hope that this discussion this morning is going to help you to get better at making small talk, just like I am sure I am going to be better at some small talk once I incorporate some of these tips and advice into my small talk arsenal or strategy. So I have my article pulled up on the other screen, and well, I'll be looking to the other screen from time to time. So just know I'm pulling out these golden nuggets to share with you. Um, so let's talk about networking. Networking is nothing more than an event or an opportunity for us to meet others who are like-minded, and it may be that they're like-minded mostly in the professional space. And a lot of people who go to networking events, they're either looking to make a career change or they are looking to drum up some new business and um, what have you. So networking is going to involve your meeting new people most of the time, or people who you don't get the opportunity to interact with on a regular basis. And that intimidates me sometimes. As much of an extrovert as I am, I have that introvert aspect of my personality too, where I can be, just totally comfortable at a social event where I know most of the people, I'm familiar with most of the people, and they're familiar with me as well. But then throw me, excuse me, into an event or an activity where there are a bunch of professionals, other professionals, and I'll clam up a little bit. And so I want to get out of that. I figure it's never too late to make a positive change. Um, and so, what we want to do is share with you some of this information that I think will help you in in these types of settings. So, just think about this. I'm going to share this story with you. Most of you know that I'm a human resources professional. I'm the associate director of human resources with my current employer, and that requires me to meet new people very often, potential new employees, also managers who I may not have worked with before across the organization. Maybe they're new to the organization, but guess what? That doesn't bother me at all. And I think it's because I feel like I'm in my wheelhouse. I'm in my territory as a human resources professional, and I know exactly what I'm supposed to do to support the managers or the employees in that space. And so I'm not bothered at all or stressed at all when I have to meet the potential new employees who may be coming for a final interview, or they may be onboarding. We may be onboarding them. And so, um, yeah, it depends on the setting. So, and I apologize once again. My allergies are acting up, so my nose keeps itching. But I've been in human resources for 32 years, and for those of you who don't know, and at one point with one organization, I had two or three, well, actually three awesome coworkers, and they were a little bit older than I was, but they were awesome coworkers. But one thing that they did was anytime someone walked into the office and needed assistance, and my coworkers sensed an accent, it was like their minds just kind of shut down. They didn't feel comfortable. And so they would always refer employees who were from other cultures or who had a very thick speaking accent, or a very pronounced speaking accent. They would typically refer them to me. And that was because I find it pretty easy to interact with people, excuse me, from other cultures. And, but I had to tell them, stop referring everybody who has an accent to me. I do not have United Nations written across my chest. And I explained to them, even though a person may be from a different culture, there are certain things that all of us feel strongly or passionately about, or the majority of us, and that's our family, our spirituality, our politics. Those were the three. And then later, I kind of added our finances to it as well. But spirituality, family, politics, and finances. If you can make small talk with a person during an introductory conversation between the two of you about any of those four subjects, you will get a full conversation out of most people. Because why? Um, our spirituality typically stems from our upbringing and what our family exposed us to, and the reason why our families exposed us to a certain spiritual upbringing. And so we feel very, very strongly most of the time about that, because most of us are taught that um, being true to our spirituality, it relates to our soul and our and future life, and how we will be judged by spiritually, by how we treat others and move through this world and interact with others. Then with family, I mean, those are our kinfolk, y'all. And so, I don't care what culture you're from, typically your family is your closest circle of humans that you are around. They're your most trusted many times. Sometimes they're your most aggravating. But guess what? We love each other. We love our family in spite of, because they are our relatives. We have the same blood running through our veins. Then politics. Everyone has, I mean, here in the US, we just finished an election. We're just past our presidential election, and so there are a lot of people who feel very strongly one way or the other about how the election turned out, even before the results of the election, or the true election day, official election day arrived. I mean, there was so much going on with people's opinions and what have you about both candidates. So, you get a whole lot of passion out of most people about their politics as well. And then finances. We know that, and I follow people on YouTube and other places that teach financial literacy. And it's a very important aspect of all of our lives, because our finances are how, or it's the medium of exchange that we use to purchase goods and services that we need to live our lives. And so there is a lot of passion involved in that, because people have differing perceptions on what is considered to be a successful financial plan, or an unsuccessful financial plan, or your roadmap, to financial success, and what financial success ultimately looks like, and how long it takes for it should take us, or will take us, or has taken us, or will, to get to our ultimate financial success goal. So let's look at some of these things that this article talks about. Um, and first of all, it starts out by asking us to imagine that we've just met someone, and we barely introduced ourselves when there's a pause. So this is what intimidates a lot of us. We're thinking, what should we say next? So this particular contributing author, he said that he has studied what makes some people super communicators, and he's learned that if you want to be good at making small talk and developing deeper connections with others, you have to ask deeper questions. And so his advice is to ditch the shallow questions. And I agree with them. I mean, one of the things is that sometimes we ask questions that really don't have any substance, um, and really won't make us help us to learn much more about the person. It's just is just a question that we're asking just for the sake of asking a question. There doesn't seem to be a lot of thought put into it. And like, for instance, where do you live? What college do you attend? Those are considered shallow questions. They don't draw out values or experiences, and they don't invite any vulnerability. And most of us are so afraid of being vulnerable that that's what holds us back from engaging in or initiating successful small talk. So if you reframe your question, um, f- such as, what do you like about where you live? Um, what's your favorite part of college, or um, your strongest course in college? That invites the person to move away from giving a one word answer, one or two word answer, um, excuse me, to providing a little bit more detail into their preferences and their personality. Because, I just was speaking with a couple of colleagues a couple of weeks ago at work, and I learned that one of my colleagues, they live in a subdivision outside of Metro Atlanta that has 300 homes in one subdivision. That is a gigantic subdivision. And she was talking about how they, ride their golf carts around on Halloween, how they celebrate Halloween as a community and welcome others into their subdivision to celebrate Halloween, and how it's a racially and culturally diverse subdivision that comes together, and they plan this, big, all of these big activities to help their community, their children, and others who come from other communities and subdivisions in their general area to enjoy Halloween. And I thought that was so neat. Then I have another coworker who I did not know that she was into cars, and I'm into cars myself. And she drives a purple Jeep, um, and it is just totally awesome. And she also drives a Mustang, and so I'm like, oh man! So we've had full conversations about vehicles and what have you. And so I didn't know that about her before, but now we have that common ground that we can relate to each other about. So think about asking questions that invoke emotion, and beg the other person to reciprocate by asking you a thought provoking question that would help you to express a little bit of emotion as well. So craft your question to hit these three notes. This is what the author says. Nearly any question can be remade into a deep question. The key is to understanding three characteristics. And he says that a deep question asks about someone's values, beliefs, judgments, or experiences. And I found that it is, important. Ask the person, what holidays they celebrate. Why is that holiday significant to their culture and to their family? And what activities are involved in celebrating that particular holiday, because everyone does not celebrate Christmas. There are other holidays that fall in the October, November, December time of year that are not related to Christmas. And so by asking them what types of holidays they and their family celebrate, you're going to learn a lot about another culture, and it's going to make you feel, real good. So the author recommends that we don't just ask, where do you work? Instead, ask what's the best part of your job or your favorite part of your job or your least favorite or most challenging part of your job. And he says that one of the studies that's coming up found a simple approach to generating deep questions. Before speaking, imagine you are talking to a close friend. And what question would you ask them? And just like I said earlier, if I'm more familiar with the person, I don't have a hard time asking them, making small talk with them. So, what we have to do is train our mind to think or imagine that this person who we're standing with, sitting with, or what have you at an event or an activity who we're not very familiar with, we have to pretend that we are familiar with them and that if they, since we're imagining that they're a close friend, we ask them more thought provoking questions that bring out their emotions and passion. So, number two is remember that a deep question asks people to talk about how they feel, and that's that emotion. And sometimes it's easy. How do you feel about XYZ? Or we can prompt people to describe certain emotions, and such as did it make you happy when? And I asked someone to analyze a situation's emotions. Why do you think he got angry or she got angry? Or empathize. How would you feel if that happened to you? And another one you can ask is, how would you have possibly handled the situation differently? Now, that's the employee relations coming out of me. And I typically ask employees when I'm, or and managers, when I'm helping them to navigate a difficult situation, employee situation, or workplace situation, I typically will ask them after thinking back on the situation, is there a way that you possibly could have handled the situation for a better outcome? And that normally gets the person to really thinking. I mean, honestly and really thinking. And by asking that question, I've also helped a lot of people throughout my career of help them with identifying how they may have needed to handle a situation differently. I've even helped myself by asking myself that question to identify how I probably could have handled the situation better or differently for a better outcome. So think about that. Number three, Mr. Duhigg recommends that by asking a deep question, it should feel like sharing. And he says it should feel a bit like we're revealing something about ourselves when we ask a deep question. And something that I ask of the team and I when we conduct new employee orientation, typically we have one or two or a group of people who have never seen each other. All of a sudden, they're thrown in this meeting together, whether virtual or in person, with their new employer, with their new HR representative, and here we are with two, three, four, five, six new employees to a new organization and new people. And here it is, they're all starting out as new employees with the organization. And it helps for them to know a little nugget about each other. So, as our icebreaker, we ask them to reveal one interesting fact about each other. And you would think that maybe some people would be a bit hesitant, but we have learned such neat things about the hobbies that they engage in during their free time, if there's any such thing as free time. Some of their experiences that their hobbies have led them to have that they would not have had as a life experience if they weren't engaged in that particular hobby, how they got into a hobby or something, like sometimes I'll share with new hires that I was a premature baby. My mom had me at 7 months of pregnancy, and I only weighed 2 pounds 9 ounces. And here I am today, well over 2 pounds 9 ounces. And proudly here today as well, and very thankful and grateful. So, asking a deep question should, I agree with him, should feel like sharing. And when we ask the deep question, the feeling might give us pause, but he's shared that studies show that people are nearly always happy to have been asked to have and to have answered a deep question, because we normally, a lot of people like sharing a little something about themselves, because normally it's something that we're proud of that we share, and we feel welcomed and supported when we can share a little something about ourselves that others in the group may not have known. So just practice reframing your question to make it a more deep question, not a question that's going to invoke just a yes or no or one word question, but something that's going to invoke conversation, further conversation. So here are some more examples that the article shared to help all of us turn shallow questions into deeper ones. So consider, instead of asking someone, "Are you married?" ask them to tell me about your family. Ask them the question, "Tell me about your family." And so then you're not focusing just on whether they have a spouse, but they'll tell you, I'm sure, about their children and their children's personality. They'll probably also tell you about their fur baby if they have one. And so it ends up being more of a conversation than just a yes or no answer. And then you'll find common ground in some of that as well. And it releases some of that stress that we have when we're trying to make small talk with others. Also, next, instead of asking, "Do you have any hobbies?" ask, "If you could learn anything, what would it be?" And they can either let you know that they've always wanted to learn how to ski, but and they finally did it, or they're planning on learning this winter, or what have you. They're planning a trip, maybe to some ski slopes. It's a whole conversation potentially. Third, instead of asking, "Where did you go to high school?" ask, "What advice would you give a high schooler?" And that can open up all types of conversations about how different things are today versus when we graduated from high school or went to high school. Some of the challenges that high schoolers face today that we did not face when we were in high school. Just all of that, even the safety, potential safety aspect as well, and another whole conversation. So something else that will likely spark another entire conversation instead of one or two word answers is, instead of asking, "Where are you from?" ask the person, "What's the best thing about where you grew up?" And for people who don't get to see their family very often because most of their family may be still in another country or what have you, typically you'll see a smile on their face. And I'll never forget that when I worked with a court system at the county level, and the court had a judge exchange program. It was a Japanese judge exchange program where Japanese judges came to our court system to learn about our trial by jury system, because they were thinking of incorporating the trial by jury system into their system, because that's not how their court system ran. And one of the judges and I, we kept in contact for quite some time via email, just asking about each other's families and everything. And what he did before he left his assignment to head to, they would not stop at one place in the United States during their exchange program. They went to scheduled, how should I say, specific or select court systems. And so before he left, I think to go to Washington, D.C. or the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, um, he presented me with this beautiful, beautiful Japanese, I think it's called Japanese wrapping cloth. Oh my gosh. I think it's handmade, and it has the most beautiful, like delicate embroidery. And he explained to me that this was a gift of appreciation, and because they use that cloth to wrap gifts like wedding presents and gifts for other occasions. And so it was such an honor. It really touched my heart that he found it appropriate to present me with that Japanese wrapping cloth. I have kept it very, very safe places, and then I got another one several years later. Well, let me back up. That judge told me that he wanted to give me that Japanese wrapping cloth because he said that I was one of the people who made him feel most welcome as a person from another culture coming into our country and having to spend so much time around us. And so I was very honored and very touched by the fact that he appreciated my efforts to make him feel comfortable while he was spending time in our court system. So then several years later, when I was working with that court system again, um, their personnel director accompanied some of the, I don't even know if some of the judges were here at that time, but anyway, their government or their court appointed personnel director for their court system came to spend time with us as well in sort of an exchange program. And after we met with him and I think his deputy, and we explained um, how our HR programs worked, how they were set up, and why. Gave them a really in-depth explanation and shared a lot of things with them, a lot of information with them. And so the next day or a day or two later, the personnel director came back and he presented me and one other and the court staff, the court administrator, with the wrapping cloth. And she didn't know the significance of it. But so I explained to her the significance of it because I had my other Japanese wrapping cloth that came from the judge. And so yeah, when you ask something, you make people feel comfortable. You ask them thought-provoking questions about their life, their childhood, and spirituality, finances, politics, family, and what have you. It helps you to create a bond. And that is so important. So, here in today's article, the author encourages us to not stop with one question. Um, he said that when he's on the train talking with people, when he's commuting to work, he might ask them, "What do you do for a living?" Or he might say, um, "Do you love that job? Or do you have something else you dream of doing?" Those are great questions. And you can spend your entire commute just discussing, sharing back and forth some of your life's dreams and how you've achieved some of them, and you're happy about that. You're still striving to achieve the other dreams that are on, let's say, your bucket list, and you can ask, you know, your two questions in, and you've gotten into somebody's dreams, and that is golden right there. So just I thought today's article would be very interesting to you. I hope that it was very interesting to you, and I hope that you will incorporate some of those some of these tips, tricks, not tricks. I don't want to say tricks because they're not. There are tips and strategies, communication strategies that can help you be a better communicator, especially when you're um, communicating with someone who you don't know well, who you just met. So if you're watching the recording of this live, then I want you to do me a favor, to share what you found interesting or valuable during this session, this today's Friday morning live. And I'm going to read all of the comments and welcome them. So everybody, just go ahead and share. What did you find most interesting about today's article? Also, let me know what strategy, part of the strategy, are you considering incorporating into your networking or small talk strategy when you meet someone. I'd be interested in learning more about that, and I'll share as well. So just keep an eye on the comments below and below the video, and I will share with you which one I find most interesting, and which one I plan to incorporate in my interaction with others when I meet them initially, so that I can learn more about them and we can maybe forge a friendship. So that's all for today's Friday Morning Live. I am wishing you an awesome, 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 safe, and happy weekend. As always, if you want to work with me more closely, I'm going to provide all of the resources in the description here under the recording of the video, so that you can take advantage of those opportunities if you see fit. And I look forward to seeing you on next Friday for another Friday Morning Live. Meanwhile, like the video, please also share it with others who are on their journey to living their best career life, and subscribe. I would love for you to become an HR by Nnamtique VIP. Until next time, bye bye.